covered in blue, like liquids, like skies, told whispers in blackness, in a lake of closed eyes. This verse from a Tim Cantor writing lyrically recounts the proverbial phrase, "Ignorance is bliss." The interpretation, "a lake of closed eyes," distinctly implies ignorance, while the expression, "covered in blue," like liquids, like skies, duly recites bliss. Alone, these examined words are rather specific. However, Tim slashes drastically through the centre of that forthright imagery with a phrase that baits us into a labyrinth of complexion paved by whispers, told whispers in blackness. What could have remained simple is now anything but that, as these whispers, they haunt us and lure us in for a far deeper look. Granted that Tim Cantor paints and writes from his experiences, he habitually possesses an amplified awareness of his surroundings. Truth and fact cling within. His fears are heightened. His faith is weakened. He sees and hears not only the plum side of life, but the contrary as well. With that said, rather than fight the paradox or pretend it does not affect him, he has grown to surrender to its cause, allowing its temper to bring impressions. He, in a sense, conquers it by using it with a single solemn wish. What is that wish? The answer? Well, it is quite simple. Essentially, a wish to be blind to life's problems and difficulties, immune to hatred and anger, and free from the unpleasant side of mankind. However, this, of course, is an impossible notion, a fantasy that goes greatly against the genetic affliction of human nature, and a wish that will never come true. Desire spoiled by the throes of awareness. And while the infallible truth does inevitably extinguish the wish, it is the wish itself that gives rise to some of Tim Cantor's most sensational and dramatic paintings. Charade, a large theatrical painting that represents all the indifference to hostility one could hope for. The vital character in this piece being a woman who dances listless to her surroundings. Blindfolded and content, she embodies unreservedly the elusive wish. Joyful, pleased, unworried. No fear, no anger, no pain or sadness. Unmindful of the dim backdrop of her reality. She spins and twirls through time despite her bandaged hands, despite her sullied threads. Just love, just joy. As one scans across this large canvas, they might detect the artist's many hints that nourish this delusive intention. Poor men in the shadows, hidden beneath dark glazes. They neither sleep, nor beg, nor cry, nor claim pity. They are obliged to have purpose and passion. They, like the central figure, care not of their fringes. They simply feed the desires of contentment. Although the essential wish that emanates within this painting is most certainly unfeasible for an intelligent human mind, it could be said that it is entirely viable that an animal, a creature of incomprehension, could likely contain those enviable carefree qualities. And let's not overlook the third man who sleeps in the shadows without a qualm in the world. Despite everything, there is but one ingredient within this active composition that clashes with all the rest, and perhaps the most affecting element in the opus of Charade. To the far left stands a young boy, whose upright posture and apprehensive stare emanate the counterpole of the painting's liberating purpose. Tim has displaced the boy to such an extent that it could seem foolish to the academic rules of composition. Nonetheless, Tim Cantor is, as ever, a self-educated artist. His intent, perhaps, was to ill-place this character to such an extent as to make him uncomfortably stand out, for he is indeed the one and only subject within the painting that is not at ease. Could it be that Tim sees himself as this young man, wishing, worrying, fearing? A secluded self-portrait, if you will. His gaze holds an anxiety towards his surroundings, yet an appetite for wisdom. The distortion of it all is that the wisdom he seeks rests within the unknowing, in being oblivious and being aimless and heedless and unwary, indeed being the opposite of the man who paints this painting. In the same year, Tim Cantor created a smaller painting titled Trust, which depicts a more complex translation of the same meaning as Charade, yet by way of a more modest composition. Here too the subject is blindfolded and sightless. However, we read an added connotation as we take into account Tim's writing about this painting and find that it is equally about trust as it is about being free from concern. Despite their many similarities, the transcendental difference between charade and trust is one of time. Whereas charade elaborately renders a more straightforward aspiration to be carefree, trust attacks the savvy of experience, attempting to turn the histories of disappointment into a cultivated confidence and into a belief that all things are part of an inevitable destiny. Once that the belief in destiny as an absolute is gained, the worry of choice is no more. Questions of right and wrong and of which path to take are no more. With that said, the same undying hope to be carefree that dictates charade carries on within trust, but with deep-seated particulars that are found among those whispers in blackness that Tim Cantor slips into his paintings. Whispers that coax us to stare a bit longer, feel a bit stronger, and perhaps to be haunted by a wish in the dark. A wish regardless of reality, regardless of truth, regardless of impracticality, yet a wish that survives nonetheless within art, painted in the sapience of blues, the eagerness of reds, and in the flesh of the faces that we see as our own.